Hey everybody, how you doing? So my name is Devani Simon from FTF Personal Training. We are an at-home personal training service delivered as faster than Uber Eats. So I apologize first off for taking a little bit of a hiatus with the old video production, but I got a new shirt design, so give a brother a break, okay? Today's video is about the significance of carbohydrates for the human body. Yes, you're gonna have to forgive me, I'm reading the blog on my phone, give a brother a break. So in contradiction to what you may read online, I am here to tell you that carbohydrates are your friend. They're good for you. Eat them. So carbohydrates are actually one of the main nutrients that you should have in your diet starting today. The beauty about carbohydrates is that besides it giving you a great source of energy, it also can be a great source of you burning off some extra calories, right? Now, through the beauty about your metabolism, through what's called the total daily energy expenditure, right? We're actually able to burn calories without even exercising. That's the beauty about the metabolism, right? So depending on what you're eating, and depending on how often you move, you're burning calories without even thinking about it. Even me right now, with all this moving around, feel like I'm gonna sweat in my pants right now, I'm still burning calories. Why? Because I'm speaking, my organs are functioning right now, alright? And, well actually, I'm not gonna lie, I had a couple of grapes before I hopped on, so I definitely got my, burning of calories going on right now. Except for fiber, carbohydrates yield 4 calories for every gram you consume. So what are carbohydrates at the end of the day? What really are carbs, right? So carbohydrates really consist of 1, 2, and 3 sources, okay? You have your sugars, you have your starches, you have your fiber. Not fiber 1, but the real fiber, like fiber on the skin of a potato, or the skin of a apple, or the skin of a whatever comes off the ground, okay? So let's start off with the sugars, for example. These are just simple carbohydrates found naturally anywhere you can find them. I'm not talking about the sugars that you find in the back of your cupboard that says all-purpose, or that that white granulated stuff, or even the powdered stuff. No, that's the bad sugar. That's the evil sugar. We're talking about the good sugar, okay? So the sugars are natural sugars that you may find in apples and bananas and strawberries. The good stuff. If you really want to accelerate your weight loss, why not 50% of your carbohydrates should be fruit? And then the rest could come from other sources. Now, with sugar, that's going to be the quickest carbohydrate to digest, right? A fruit smoothie, eating fruit, that's going to be the quickest thing to hit your blood sugar and spike up your blood glucose level. The complex carbs, that's going to take a longer time to digest and break down through the stomach acids, then they can later on spike it up. So a lot of the times, right before I go into the gym myself, or if I'm going to train, I either say, hey, you know what you should do is maybe you should actually have some fruits before we start. And the reason why is because that's the quickest thing that's going to actually spike up your blood sugar levels, which is going to give you a better performance in your gym session. And also, it's going to give you more hydration that your muscles are going to need before taking on all that load or endurance that you're planning on later on, torturing yourself with, but for a purpose. That's something to think about. I'm not telling you to immediately do it right now. Some people love fruits more than others. Some people love vegetables more than others, right? It's a give or take. But you have to understand that carbohydrates, and hopefully you understand this by the end of the video, carbohydrates involve a lot more than your bread, which I love bread, but you gotta, everything in moderation, people. Then you have your starches, okay? Now your starches are what consist of the grains, of the potatoes and legumes, the beans, you know what I'm saying? So these carbs are more of the long-chain glucose molecules, all right? Now, if you don't really understand what that is, I suggest you watch maybe an episode of Breaking Bad.
Say my name.
When it comes to the complex carbohydrates, however, I believe that should be done more so after the gym. So a post-workout session, right? It's gonna take a lot longer to digest because I don't know if you can relate, but eating a potato, let's say a baked potato before going to the gym, you never want to work out on a full stomach. I don't know why it is. It's just a feeling. Now, believe it or not, some people like it. I certainly do not. It makes you a little sluggish. It slows you down. And by the time you're midway in, the blood sugar kind of spikes up, but at a bad time, because it's like your muscles are kind of like breaking down, and it's like your blood sugar's up, and it's kind of like, woohoo! Now let's talk about fiber real quick, alright? Now we all got to take a shit once in a while, alright? So I'm sorry, children, if you're listening to this. Fiber is a very complex carbohydrate that cannot be fully digested by our bodies, right? For example, the fiber of a sweet potato, if you have the skin on, it should definitely have a fiber within maybe 8 to 10 grams, depending on the size of the sweet potato. Of course, it's going to have the carbohydrates, but a lot of the times people forget, as aforementioned, is that because it cannot fully be digested, you should subtract the number of fiber from the number of carbohydrates. So like, let's say you're working on a low carbohydrate diet, right? Cool. I would say, but you don't want to, you don't want to fall back in your same patterns of processed foods. I get you, I hear you, and I agree. Let's eat more fiber-rich carbohydrates so that you can get the benefit of a higher blood sugar, the higher blood glucose spiking up. At the same time, you can also subtract the carbs itself from being fully digested, because the fiber is pretty much taking place of that. Now you can find these specifically in more plant-based foods. So we're talking about your whole grains, your nuts, your seeds. Now when it comes to digestion, I'm telling you right now, you need fiber. I used to think that fiber really wasn't that important, and then I turned 27, and then I'm telling you, your colon system backs up on you, man. Too much red meat on you, man. Backs you up, man. So, but now I'm eating a lot more fiber, more natural source fiber, more sweet potato fiber, and sometimes I just don't want to get off the toilet because I have such a good time on it. Before fiber, I was on the toilet for a good 35-45 minutes. After fiber, there's 3 drops. I dropped off the kids at school. I drove off. I'm already down the block. I already wiped up. I washed my hands. I'm gone in less than 30 seconds. But if you're an athlete, I would suggest the reason why you don't want to skip on your carbohydrates, even if you're aiming to have more of a low carbohydrate diet, is because it will drastically hinder your performance within the gym. Carbohydrates are in my opinion, I think the most important fuel for your body. Without the carbohydrates, how can you grow muscle? But if, let's say, growing muscle was not your goal, just getting through the day, you have to understand something. Your body is made up of 60% water. Water. All right, I had to say that in 3 different accents. For those who understand, you understand. Okay, so it's made up of 60% water. All right, and that's the Long Island accent, water. Since that's the case, you got another 40% is made up of the protein and everything else. If 60% of water is in your body, you gotta make sure you have your carbohydrate on. The base, I think, but the root word of carbohydrate is hydrate. You need more water. Now let's talk about the structure of your carbs, right? And specifically your glycemic index. Right? Glycemic index is simply just a measure that indicates how fast a carbohydrate containing food raises your blood glucose, just raises it out of you, and the Spirit of God raises it out of you after consumption. Okay, cool. Now when it comes to the glycemic load, people always talk about glycemic index, and that's cool, but what about your glycemic load? That's where you get confused, and that's why I was confused for a minute too. Your glycemic load essentially is what accounts for both a food's glycemic index and the typical serving size, providing a more accurate measure of the food's effect on the blood glucose. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say popcorn, which is slightly high on the glycemic index, right? But because of the power of moderation, and you're only limiting yourself to 1 cup, is only about 6 grams of carbs. So 6 grams of carbs, and where the serving size is 3 cups, you're I wouldn't say golden, but you're a lot significantly in better advantage compared to having the whole serving size, or even going past that serving size. Let's actually get down to the nitty-gritty, right? Now, when are you supposed to have your carbs? All right, find this all on my website, on the blog. I'm gonna link it, down below. But I'm gonna tell it to you, right? By the way, subscribe now. I always forget to tell people subscribe. Please subscribe. Please. The pre-exercise intake, you want to get a little carbs in your system. It doesn't necessarily need to have the biggest shot, but after that overnight fast, which is essentially what you were doing while you were sleeping, your blood sugar levels have dropped precipitously, so now it's time to get it back up a little bit. But then when it comes to during exercise though, When it comes to during exercise, as your glycogen stores diminish during exercise, it's always a good moment to stop and actually evaluate how your performance, how you feel. You might want to reach and get some a sports drink, which is a great source of liquid carbs. Drink that down, or who knows, maybe you're that type of person like me. I like to have a couple of fruits in my gym bag. Like some pineapple slices, eat them real quick. I think that works a little bit better for me, but everybody's a little different. Now, when it comes to post-exercise, after you've depleted all of the excess of blood sugar levels, and your blood sugar is now low, carbs are gone, it is now time to replenish. Don't forget the protein, don't forget the carbs. Don't stress. It's not like you have to put it in your body immediately in an hour after you finish exercising. You have up to 24 hours to put that back into your body before the effects that you were really chasing after are gone, right? Like, for example, trying to build muscle, you got to tear it down. You got up to 24 hours to then replenish your body with the gone nutrients, and then so that you can grow. And of course, rest. All right, so great time explaining to you, I had a great time at least, explaining to you what exactly carbs are, a little bit more details about the carbohydrates. If you want really really precise and nitty-gritty details, please go on my website. The link is down below to the blog. You can check around. I'm going to keep on adding more content up there, and then going to come back over here, break it up, and then see what happens after that. But I'm here to help you out. Reach out to me, ask me any questions. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Peace, like, and good night.